guided activities. Sparkler has given home visitors the ability to communicate with parents through a variety of ways. They can text, they can email, they can call. And because we live in this age of technology, it's important for our field of home visiting and family support services to grow and adapt to these changes as well. The Sparkler application has allowed this adaptation to happen while at the same time not increasing screen time for children and engaging parents and caregivers into the development of their child. Home visitors can communicate regularly with parents and caregivers through the application, and they can check in on how things are going to promote learning. There's a new feature in Sparkler called the Library Tool, which you'll learn about today, and it provides activities to the home visitors that target developmental skills during the home visit, and then it also provides activities to families to practice skills between the home visits. In addition to those activities, Sparkler enables the families to complete the ASQ developmental screen, either on their own through the application or facilitated by their home visitor during the home visit. The ASQ can then be electronically scored, which I think is great, and then it's able to track the child's growth over time. So families who enroll with the Sparkler application and engage over time will find that they have easier access to the screening for their children. It's also a really cool way to capture some milestones, and you can somewhat create a digital baby book, which is always fun to look back on. It gives parents the opportunity to look back and see just how far their child has come developmentally. But ultimately, the best feature of Sparkler is the parent engagement tool, which helps families engage with their home visitor and support their child's development. Sparkler is an important part of our home visiting system because it was developed with the engagement of parents and caregivers in mind. Sparkler has many features that will allow communication, screening, activities, documentation of milestones, and much more. And it truly allows parents and caregivers and home visitors to see the big picture for development of each child enrolled in the program. Parents and caregivers and home visitors alike all want what's best for their children, and this application supports that goal. Sparkler is a tool, but it's also more than a tool. It is a tool that supports learning and growth and development through parental engagement. And in my opinion, that is a win for the children of Connecticut and those enrolled in our home visiting program, and soon pretty much any child within the state. So with all of that, I will turn it over, I think, to Julia to start us into, or bring us into, the content for today.
Thank you so much, Ashley. That was an awesome introduction. Before we go into the substance here, I want to have everybody wave hi so you know who's going to be presenting to you today. Karina from 211 Child Development and Amanda from 211 Child Development are amazing partners who are there to support you, as you'll hear throughout this presentation. And Beth Ann, who is on Team Sparkler as well, is here. And I'm Julia, by the way, Julia Levy, and I lead Sparkler. And I feel like I know many of you as I'm seeing you come in the chat, and some of you are new. So I'll state at the outset that I know some of you have been trained before. Some of you, this is brand new, and we've worked really hard to make this hopefully a useful training for both of you, either whether you're getting a refresh or whether this is brand new. And that said, if you have questions, if things are sounding a little unclear to you because it's new, save them or share them in the chat. We really want to talk to all of you, whatever level you're at, and help make this a useful tool for you and the families you serve. So we're really eager to learn from you and work with you as we, well, today and then in the future. And with that, I am going to ask Luz if she's here to give a quick introduction, and then we are going to move into the actual substance of this training session. Luz, are you here?
Yes, Julia, thank you so much. Thank you, Ashley, for that wonderful introduction regarding Sparkler. You covered all areas. I just wanted to add something about this team, Karina, Beth Ann, Amanda, and Julia. When we meet on a weekly basis, we keep the families at the forefront of our conversations. And so this is really a tool that we want to ensure that all providers feel comfortable in engaging families and introducing the tool. And we're here to support you. And so any questions after the training, know that you can reach out to me as an OEC Sparkler representative, and know that we are here to support all families and children across the state by utilizing this tool, which is new, but not new to developmental screening, because we've been screening since 1995. And it was a tool that was developed by Oregon University, and it's an evidence-based tool. I'm preaching to the choir. And I just want you to know that this really, to me, is the dream team in supporting families and children utilizing this tool. So thank you so much. And I am so excited to be here with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Luz. Okay, so quickly,
We can skip over that video. No?
Julia, we can't hear you, Julia.
Yeah. I think she froze.
hi, sorry, did I freeze? Can you hear me now? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Hopefully my internet participates in the rest of this meeting. Okay, so what I was saying was Sparkler is a tool that empowers parents and caregivers and helps systems serve families better together. And this will hopefully be a useful session for you. Please put your questions in the chat, and we're going to have a discussion at the end. And I would love to ask Karina to give us a little bit of context about the evolution of Help Me Grow and screening in the state.
Thanks, Julia. So yeah, it's so exciting to be thinking about implementing the Sparkler app now. When I think about how many years we've been involved in this with Help Me Grow and all of the work that's been done over the years, it's kind of interesting to think about where we started and where we are now. If you take a look at this timeline, it can kind of show you a little bit about how we've grown over the years. As Luz said, ASQ has been around for a long, long time. I think it was published in 1995 by the Brooks Publishing Company, but was before that developed out of the University of Oregon. And then in our state, in Connecticut, Help Me Grow was launched actually as a pilot project in the late 90s, in 1997, 98, through a program called Child Serve. I don't know if anybody's here long enough to even remember that. It was a program started by Dr. Paul Dworkin, who is like the champion father of Help Me Grow. They really were trying to connect families to existing programs, feeling like there was a lot of programs out there that provided supports for families, but a lot of families just really didn't know about those programs and were having difficulty getting connected to them. And out of that pilot project, the state legislature actually implemented Help Me Grow as a statewide entity in 2002 under the Children's Trust Fund, who was the administrating agency for the program. And 211 Child Development at that time. We were called Child Development Info Line, and we still are in some instances, so you can hear us by all different names. But we were the access point for the Help Me Grow program and have been throughout the rest of the time. When we think about some of the technologies that have come along the way, in about 2007 to 2009, we started having the cell phone available to folks, and this became a new way that families were able to engage with people, with each other, with providers and other folks. So that enabled us to really look at different ways to engage families. And in 2014, we actually saw the establishment of the Office of Early Childhood under Governor Malloy, which was really trying to bring together cohesive, high quality early childhood systems. So you had birth to 3 come together, you had early care and education, you had home visiting, you had Help Me Grow, all under one umbrella, which has been so exciting. And about the same time, the state of Connecticut was engaged in a grant called the Early Childhood Comprehensive Systems Grant, which again was looking at bringing systems together and really around developmental screening. And we implemented a number of different initiatives. And one of the things that has remained as a result of that work is the Help Me Grow Advisory Committee, which was really established out of that ECCS work and established in 2016 to bring statewide partners together that really wanted to look at early childhood systems and how we could better communicate, coordinate, and integrate our systems and services. And here we are now in 2021, looking at Sparkler. It looks like that Sparkler was first introduced to home visitors in 2020. But I do remember at one of our Help Me Grow National Forum meetings, meeting Garth, and where we initially began discussions about Sparkler and how it could really improve our ability to reach families around their children's development. And it's been a very exciting journey, and we're excited to work with the OEC and Sparkler on this initiative. I'll turn it back to you, Julia.
Thank you, Karina. So now that we've done the history lesson, we are going to go into more about Sparkler.
Cynthia, can I pause you? I'm so
course.
sorry. Is there any way you could make the slides bigger? Some can't see it.
Of course. Okay, so
Thank
what
you.
I'm going to do is I'll put it in presentation mode, but when that happens, I can't see anybody. So be sure to nudge me if you stop hearing me.
Got it.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, there we are. Okay, so so what is Sparkler? For families, Sparkler is a mobile application. It's in English and Spanish. It's on Android and iOS. And parents get 3 core things. First, developmental screening, which we'll talk a lot about today to check in on their child's development. Second, we have a whole library of activities, co-play activities that parents and children can play together that have been developed by early childhood educators. And the idea is to help parents find activities that will support their children's early learning. And we also have a library of tips for parents on parenting and other issues related to child development that will support their parenting. And then third, we provide connection with professionals, in this case, connections with you, their home visitor. So we're going to go through all of that. And home visitors, you're welcome to use the app to see what the parents experience. But in addition, we have a whole dashboard, which many of you are familiar with. And those of you who aren't familiar with it, we're going to show it to you so you can become familiar with it. And you can use the dashboard to monitor and engage with the families that you serve. And we're going to go through that as well today. To start, I am going to share, I want to say throughout this presentation, we've recorded the voices of your peers, of people who are here today with us to share their experiences. And this is the first of those videos. And I'm just the person who presses play. So if you can't hear it, shout out because I won't know, but otherwise I'll see you in a couple minutes.
My name is Gay Firth, and I'm a family support provider for the East Shore District Health Department.
Good morning. My name is Karine Uriabor, and I'm a family support worker with the East Shore District Health Department. Usually when I go into the home, I talk with the families and let them know what my role is. And during the process of that, I also tell them about the Sparkler app. So I tell them it's an app that they use for developmental screening on their child. But the beauty about the app, it is that it's parent-centered in that it is another way for families to see how their child is developing and what activities they can do with their child to meet those developmental milestones.
My parents have responded that Sparkler is an easy tool for them to use. For one parent actually used a score to bring to the pediatrician, and then they were able to talk about the concern. It gave them, something to have for data.
My families actually enjoy using the Sparkler because it is portable and it's always at hand. And it's something that is almost like a bragging rights. So when they are doing the screening or when they're answering the questions, they're like surprised, like, oh, now I see why my child is doing this. And now I see how I can move them on to the next level by supporting and engaging and reading their cues on what next to come. So my families actually enjoy using it. They have other family members who they can share this app with. It's very easy to use for families. And like Gay said, some families have actually taken it to their pediatricians just to get them to support them in their endeavors to get additional services. So families like having that feeling of control and autonomy over their child's development, and this app does that for them.
I have found that parents have taken Sparkler as like an opportunity to be independent. They've actually learned about some of the different benchmarks for development. They have also talked to me a little bit about concerns, so they were able to initiate the conversation with the concern instead of it always particularly coming from me. For example, if somebody gets to the 18-month language development, they can, have a concern, but they can also learn intentional activities such as books and pointing to objects in books to increase language. So that skill is enabled through them being able to be part of Sparkler.
So one of the ways Sparkler helped me to dedicate more time to the families is during when they're using the app and they come across questions or activities, sometimes they'll chime in with a text or they'll give a call. So I know for my next visit or when I see the families, these are pointers or activities I can bring to them that will help support their development and their time with their child independently. Another great feature of the app is that because parents have the accessibility to do the screening at their own leisure and pleasure, and now that we have the accessibility as a teacher or a family support worker, we can actually go in and see what the parents are saying based on the time that they're spending with the child. And then also when we go in as home visitors, what are we seeing? And that presents a great conversation of, okay, what areas we need to work on, what areas the child is excelling in. And then I know a lot of my families enjoy the ability of pulling activities. They've posted pictures, they've posted themselves doing activities. So that's a great feature because it's like a bragging right. And what parent doesn't like to brag about their child's growth and development?
Okay. Great. So now we are going to start walking through what is the Sparkler experience for families. And we'll follow this by your dashboard experience, how you will use the app as home visitors, as professionals working with families. You should have received yesterday a handout that looks something that looks like this, but blank without the CT. The idea is that you can share this with your families to help them get started. I'm going to show you this quick video that shows how the sign up works. Again, you'll have your families use your cohort code, which allows your families to link with you so you can see them and they can see you. But this will just show you the steps, and then I'm going to walk you through it again in case anybody who's on this call wants to create their own account to see what families see within the app. So this is a quick video version, and then we'll go through again. Okay, so now I'm going to walk through this. If you already have an account in Sparkler as a family on the mobile app, you can open it so that as I'm walking through the next section, you'll be able to walk with me through the sections of the app. If you don't have one and you'd like to have one, you can follow along. One note, you can sign up. You'll have the option of signing up either with your cohort code that belongs to you. And if you do that, you'll see yourself in your dashboard. Or you can sign up with the code CT, which will put you into sort of the general Connecticut group. And if you do that, the Karina and Amanda at 211 Child Development would be there to support you if, for example, you had your own 0 to 5-year-old child and wanted support or questions. So if you want to create an account, you're holding your mobile device, you can go to the URL playsparkler.org/get from your mobile device, and it will either take you to the App Store or the Google Play Store, depending on what type of device you have. Once you do that, you download the app and you open it like you would any other app that you're putting onto your mobile device. As you're creating an account, you're going to either create an account with a real child who's your child, or you can create a pretend child. I have many test accounts for my real kids and my real dog who wouldn't be eligible for the ISQ, and that's totally fine. And it's a good thing actually for you to have a test account if you're open to putting the app on your phone so that you can see what the families that you serve will be seeing. So once you have the app on your phone or tablet, you can open it up, and there's two options. You can sign in if you have an account, but if you don't, it gives you the option of clicking a little blue button that says create a new account. So click on that, and the first screen that you see will ask for your code. Again, type in CT if you want to be in that general group, or type in your unique code if you want to see yourself in your own dashboard. Just a note on that unique code. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you should have received an email yesterday from Beth Ann, Virginia, who you met at the beginning of this call. If you didn't, it might mean that we don't have your email address. If we don't have your email address, please reach out and share it. We've been working with OEC to update all of the information, and we apologize if we are a little bit behind on that, and we're working really hard, and we appreciate your help so much in updating everything. So after that screen where you put in the code, you have to put in your email address, and you can put in a password. So anything that you'll remember, it has to be, I think, 5 characters or more. And then you'll see a button that says next. On the next screen, you put in your account information. So your name. I want to stress here that you want the families to share their phone numbers. I know it's optional. Address is also optional. The reason why we want you to encourage them to do that is so that you'll have that on hand, and you'll be easily able to reach out and give them support if they need support, or if eventually they move into the general Connecticut bucket where they're receiving support not from home visiting but from 211 Child Development. We want to make sure that 211 is able to reach out to the family in multiple ways and support them. So please encourage your families to share their phone number. And so far, we've seen about 75% of families sign up with their phone number. So it hasn't been a big problem for people. But it does help for you to encourage it. The next screen after that, you'll create your child's profile. You can add multiple children, but start with one. So here, there's the option of putting in your child's picture. But what's required is their first name, last name, their pronoun, their birth date, and if they're under 2, their prematurity, so the amount of weeks they were born prematurely. And we need that so that the birthday and the prematurity, so that we can assign them the correct ages and stages questionnaires. So that's the most important thing that we need to collect from families, just the correct birthday and the correct prematurity if they're under 2. And then after that, you'll be asked to you'll get a screen about sponsoring partners. Those are the organizations in the state that can see the family's information. And then there's some optional questions that are called profile questions to get to know the child a little bit better. And then they're in and they can get started. So now if you were following along, you are in. And if you've signed into an existing account, you're also in. And if not, you can feel free to do it later and just watch the slides here as I go through what the different parts of the app are. Again, as I'm going, I know I'm going kind of through a lot. And I can't see the chat at the moment because I'm just doing screen share. So please jot down your questions in chat or write them on a piece of paper so that you remember them, and then we'll discuss them in the discussion toward the end. So the first thing that I'll draw your attention to is the Ages and Stages questionnaire. If you created an account for a child 0 to 5, at the very top of the app, when you first sign in, you'll see the ASQ3 and the ASQ-SE. So that's both the ASQ that you know and love that covers communication, fine motor, gross motor, personal, social, and problem solving, and the ASQ-SE, which is only focused on social and emotional learning. And it's exactly the same ASQ that you've all been using. It's just in a mobile form. You can click into it, you can go through it and experiment and see what it feels like to take it as a family, or you could watch one of your families as they do it. We've gotten really good feedback so far from families in the state who are using it, who are familiar with both the mobile version and the paper version or even the online version. A few notes for you as you go through it. It sort of gives messaging at the beginning of the ASQ itself and of the each section, as I've screenshotted on this slide. You go through from question to question. You can answer the same way, yes, sometimes not yet, as you would on the piece of paper. You can, if you're a family, you can at any time, like let's say your child needs to go to the potty, or you have to go cook dinner, whatever it is, you can exit and come back later. It will save your answers. You can also skip around from section to section, and you do that. If you see on the slides, you see this little grid view up in the upper right. When you do that, you can, I guess I didn't screenshot that. When you do that, you can skip from section to section. You can go back and forth. If there are questions where there's sort of check boxes or ones where you fill in the blank, you can fill in your answer, like he says it's time to go to bed, or whatever it is that you would normally write into those sections. At the end of this section, it gives you a let's keep going type message. Oh, here is a screenshot here about navigating through the different sections of the ASQ. When you're done with the ASQ as a family, you'll see this little warning message, and it says you're about to submit your answers. Once you submit, you will no longer be able to go back and make changes. Continue, and then you can say yes or no. Once they submit the ASQ, it's immediately scored, and you as a home visitor will see it in your dashboard and can download the report. If a family, though, wants to go through their answers with you before submitting for some reason, they should wait before they submit. It won't be scored, but once they do submit it, they can't change their answers without an intervention by us. And so that's just how it works. So you should be aware of it. And we will go through a little bit.
Julia, we can't hear you.
Can you all hear me? Did something go wrong with my computer?
I can hear you now.
I can hear you now, but we couldn't hear you for a couple minutes.
Oh no. Where did you lose me?
I'm not sure exactly.
Okay. So I was just rambling about the ASQ. I hope did you see these slides about all of the functionality of the ASQ?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I hope I answered everything. If I didn't, I apologize and we'll get to it later. But in the meantime, here's a quick video from one of your peers, Kwesi, who is the Fatherhood Initiative Coordinator, speaking about Sparkler.
My name is Kwesi Intermensa. I am the Fatherhood Initiative Coordinator starting this year with the Healthy Families, Healthy Babies program over at Family Development Center, EC8N. I have been a home visitor since 2016. I've worked one-on-one with father figures, uncles, role models. I have run workshops, I have run groups, and I've also worked with the inmate population. The Sparkler service is actually an app that you can download onto your phone. It allows you as a parent to access the ages and stages questionnaire. The ages and stages questionnaire lets you see the development stages of your child and how well they're doing. Now, it is very critical to the development of the child because the first 1,000 days of the child's life, you kind of know where they are headed, and then you kind of know if you're going to need any additional help or not. For fathers, it is very, very beneficial because it has, as another side, a play option. So with a play option, it gives you different activities to do with your child. You could do reading, you could do role play, you could do drumming, you could do singing. There's a whole lot in there that gives ideas, especially to fathers. I specifically focus on fathers because most of the time when we talk father and child play, it is the rough and tumble that comes to mind, or going out on a hike or something, or biking. There is more to it than that. There are developmental activities that we could equally do with our children, and it will be very beneficial to them. So the Sparkler app comes into play here, and when you download on your phone, it is easily accessible right on the tip of your fingers, and you can just go in, access what you want to do, and at the same time use it to follow the development of your child as they grow.
Okay. Oops. And here's one more video from the from Zesmarie Flores. Okay. Okay, well, this video, oh, it's playing. Okay.
I'm Zesmarie Flores.
It's not playing, Julia.
I'm visiting field, I suppose, in general. Okay. And I'm very new to Sparkler. So I only have a couple moms so far, but they love Sparkler. They like that there's different insights and activities that they can do with their kids, and they don't have to wait until they see me the following week, have something to do with their children, especially the moms that I have whose children aren't in school and aren't in preschool or daycare, and they're home with them every day. It gives them kind of that, little fun activity to bond and to help their kids with learning and developmental, and their development. Sorry.
Okay, now we are going to get into play, which you heard both of those people just discuss with you. So the idea of play is first of all, you tap into play either from the home screen or from the tab that says play right in the middle. And once you tap into that, you'll see, based on the child's age, a variety of activities. You can swipe through the activities by just swiping across that white square, or you can tap the grid view in the upper right corner, the little squares, and that will allow you to see a whole bunch of different pods of activities that you can experience as a family with your kiddo. And the idea is you swipe through, you find something that is on a topic that your child wants to explore, or on a skill that you want your child to practice, and then you can tap in and play with your child. So this is an example. You tap into roll, toss, or bounce, and then you see a simple recipe for play. It's 3 steps. It's sort of like talking points that the parent can say aloud to the child. There's some tips for parents about how to make the activity more complicated or more simple if the child needs that. There's some vocab words to work on. There's some other ways that you can work on this particular skill. And then the idea is to put down your phone as a parent and play with your child to develop that skill that you're working on. When you're done, you have the option of sharing a photo of your play or the creation that you made with your child, and sharing a little bit of feedback. And when you do that, it's useful because we learn about whether the activity was whether the child liked it, whether it was on the right level for the child, and any other responses the parent has. And then they're also keeping track of their accomplishments and what they're learning together with their child. Hang on, I'm going back into presentation mode. Parents also have the option of tracking just their regular play and learning, like if they're reading together with their child before bedtime, if they're going on little learning adventures outside with their child and they're not playing sparkler activities, but they're still obviously learning with their child, they can track that by tapping "We Played Our Own Way" on the home screen. This is an example. So you tap that, you see a screen that looks sort of like you see here, and then you can track what you did together with your child, and then you see, oh, well, you just helped your child build his skills. And as the family's doing this, Sparkler helps them to visualize what they're accomplishing. How much are they growing their child's heart, mind, body, and words, which are our names for the different domains of development. And they're also under Grow, which is kind of like a baby book or a scrapbook. You can look back and see as a family what you've done with your child, what you've learned together. This is highlighting the tips for adults, which are parenting tips. We have a whole library of tips for parents with simple, actionable steps that they can use to help their children. And this includes summaries of different parenting skills, explanations of the developmental milestones, as well as the adaptations of the Learn the Signs Act early milestones from the CDC, which is what you see on screen here. On this and also all the play activities, I want to note that we are developing more and more and adding them into the library. So what you see today might grow by tomorrow. And so we encourage you to check back and look around and see what it is, see if there's content that would be relevant to your work or the families that you're serving. Beth Ann, can I ask you to talk a little bit about Learn the Signs as the Learn the Signs ambassador for the state of Connecticut?
So we're so excited that Learn the Signs Act Early, which is an initiative to work with families around developmental milestones. So Learn the Signs is about developmental monitoring. Sparkler is about getting ASQ. So we're excited to partner with Sparkler to be able to have slides inside of Sparkler that really talks about what typical early childhood development looks like. It offers ways to link families if they are having concerns about their child's development to be able to go into a Sparkler to complete screenings and then continue the play activities. So this is a great initiative to be able to just expand around monitoring for all young children.
Thank you. So the last section I wanted to highlight within, one of the last sections I wanted to highlight within the app for families is coaching and connection. So under Connect within the app, parents can get messages. You can also engage with them. And they can also, if they choose, if they connect their account with another grown-up, another caregiver, they can connect with each other via the app. And it's almost like texting, but it doesn't cost money. It doesn't go on somebody's text plan. It's just via Wi-Fi. And so it's a handy communication and engagement tool for families, but also for you to use if you choose to engage with your families. Now, Amanda Heath from 211 Child Development is going to walk you through what happens when the family does what we showed before when I was talking, and you may or may not, hopefully you heard me, about when the family submits their ASQ.
So when a family completes an ASQ and presses submit, Sparkler automatically scores the ASQ. The results go to the ASQ online system at 211 Child Development and to your program Sparkler dashboard, where you can then see that one of your families has completed an ASQ. And it creates this family-friendly facing report under step 2, and we'll go into that a little bit more later on in the presentation. And so when the ASQ is submitted, a message is sent through Sparkler to the family to let them know that the results have been received and that someone from their home visiting program will reach out to share the results with them. And then I will also send an email nudge to the home visitor and their supervisor to just let you know that an ASQ has been completed, since I'm in the dashboard on a daily basis. And this way, it's just a notification for you to be able to know you need to go in and check your dashboard, and you will be able to pull up those results, look through them, and then review them with the family. And you can then connect your families with supports and resources as needed, or they can continue to play in Sparkler. Julie, can you go to the next slide?
Yeah.
Thank you. So even though you may be in the lead with supporting your families, 211 Child Development is certainly here to support you as the provider as well. Our care coordinators can share information on resources and supports that may be available for your families. Our care coordinators are available Monday through Friday. We're open 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can certainly call the 211 number and go through the menu, but the best way to reach us would be to call our direct line at 1-800-505-7000, and you can speak with a care coordinator. We can give you information on services and for your families that you can then pass along. If you would like more information on services that you can access through 211 Child Development, you can certainly look at our website as well, listed here, CDI.211ct.org, and you can find a variety of resources there as well. And Julia, can you go to the next slide?
Can you see this? I think maybe it's on a lag.
It might be. That's fine. Oh, there we go. So as you can see, really this is creating a network of support for families to be able to access. Sparkler is being made accessible to all families through the OEC later on in the next coming month or so. So it will be a statewide launch. And so we're excited to be partnering with the OEC and you to be able to provide Sparkler to families. And as families use Sparkler, they will have that built-in connection to their provider and us at 211 Child Development. And as you can see here, families can access a variety of resources and supports through you and us at 211 Child Development. So we are the access point for birth to 3 for children under 3 with possible developmental delays. So when a family will call birth to 3 for a referral, what they're actually doing is they're calling us, and we are doing the intake for the family, collecting all of that information, and then sending it along to a local birth to 3 program, to then, reach out to the family and set up an evaluation. We also have information for early childhood special education through the State Department of Education. So we can share information with you or your families on who to contact within their local community. As far as preschool special education, to set up an evaluation, we send them a general form as well and how to request an evaluation. And then we also are the access point for Help Me Grow. So connections to local community-based services, such as home visiting, parenting education programs, parent-to-parent supports, medical home initiative, behavioral health supports and services. And then, as always, too, families are able to access other 211 services through us. So we can connect them with housing, basic needs, social service programs, crisis intervention, childcare, and care for kids.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. And I apologize to everyone for my internet problems. If it goes out again, I'll try tethering to my phone and maybe that will work better. I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, so a few more notes on the parent experience before we move to your experiences with visitors. In settings, parents are able to change their language from English to Spanish or vice versa. You just do that by clicking on language, and then you can just toggle into click on Spanish to switch to Spanish, or if you're on Spanish, you want to go to English, click on, it will be in Spanish, but you would click on English and switch to English. You can also add a new child if you have a new child or a new adult. When you add an adult, you're linking your account as a parent to another caregiver, another parent who you want to share with. And when you do that, you can see what happens screenshotted here, but you could, let's say you want to link up with grandma so that you can collaborate on playing with your child. So you would just click on invite an adult. You'd enter grandma's email address, press next. You would make sure that if you have 1 kid or 2 kids, you would toggle which of the children you're sharing with grandma. It would say next. When grandma signs into Sparkler, she will see your child within her account. So then that gives 2 grown-ups the ability to collaborate, to work together on behalf of that one child. If a parent wants, they're welcome to share their account with you as their home visitor if they want, but you'll also be able to see them via the dashboard. So that's not necessary unless you want to do that. Now we're going to go into this Sparkler experience for home visitors. And can everyone hear still? Is this working now?
We can hear you.
Okay, good. We have 2 quick videos to start you off here, and then we'll do some live screen sharing. So hopefully my computer continues working.
Okay, my name is Sue Alexi, and I'm a home visitor for Nurturing Families at Day Kimball Hospital. And my experience with Sparkler has been great. The aspect of it is wonderful. My families, they're on their phones. Everybody's on their phones. And I really talk up the report that comes to me once they do the ASQs, because frankly, it's beautiful. And I pay particular attention to, and a lot of my families do this, they put their child's picture in there, and it shows up on the report. And also, I always point out when I go through the report, just in case they don't read it themselves, I try to go through as much of it as I can, is that the wording says the child's name, which is really wonderful. And I really like, and families like, and I absolutely highlight, is that first page with the scale, where it shows, monitor, pass, refer. I always show families that. And then I go right to the second page with the activities to encourage and really talk up that. I know one particular family that uses it all the time, and they love the activities. They love them. I found this on Sparkle. I found that and did this and this and that with my little guys.
Okay, and once more from Esme, who we heard from before.
Sparkler is like fantastic. It really is. I love looking at the reports, and I too print out the reports in color for my family, and I really like it because it kind of is something that really draws their attention. It's not just me giving them like a boring report of what their answers were for their ASQs. It's really like they can see it. I like the scale because just giving them numbers, like we can tell them, oh, well, your child scored a 55 in communication, but that means absolutely nothing to them. So having that little scale that they can see too, where they can, they can see, it looks like my child's getting close to monitor, or it looks like my child's really excelling. That makes more sense to them. To me, I get it. I get the numbers and I know what they mean, but there's not many parents who are gonna understand me, describing an ASQ or the results to them in numbers or, stuff like that. So that color is great, grabs their attention. The scales are great. I love Sparkler.
Okay, so now I am going to go over here. If I do this, can everybody see something that looks like a dashboard now on your screen?
It's very small, Julia. Can you go
Okay,
back
this, I don't know how to make it huge, but here, I'll make it a little bigger. Does that look bigger, Karina? Can you see that?
That's better. That's
Okay.
better.
Much better.
Okay, good. Here we are in big mode. Okay, so now I'm going to walk through. This is a demo version of the dashboard, so it's not real children's information. You're going to see different information, obviously, when you sign into the dashboard, but the idea here is to give all of you a sense of where things are on this dashboard that you'll be using as part of your work. And I'm going to do part of it, and then I'm going to tag team a bit with Amanda, who will do the ASQ part of it. This is the main screen. So once you sign into your dashboard using the information that you either have or will be receiving when we have your email address, you will see this dashboard. You will see the families who you have access to. So if you're a home visitor, you'll see the families you serve. If you're a supervisor, you'll see any families you serve and also the families served by the people on your team. So you'll see the number of adults, so the number of grown-ups and the number of kids they have. So obviously each grown-up might have multiple children, and that's fine. These numbers don't match. You will see trends over time. So you can filter this and say all, let's say, and you can see who's signing up. If there's an increasing trend, that should be what you should see, and you should understand it based on who's in your system. Then the next square down here is engagement. So are they playing? Are they using Sparkler to play? Playing is when they go into an activity. It's not just browsing. It's when they actually click "we did it" at the end of an activity. So if you want this line to go up here, you have to be encouraging your families to press "we did it," which is when something counts as a play. I hear a little kiddo weighing in. So hi to my co-presenter, and it's nice that you're here.
Sorry, that was me.
Oh no, I love little voices. It's why we're here. So that's great. Okay, so on interactivity, this is where you see if they've shared photos of their play. And it's obviously not required, but it's a good way for you, especially if you're not in the home with them, to see what they're doing with their child. If they're doing a dance, you can see what their moves are there. If they made an art project, you can see the art project they made, and it gives you something to talk about. So it's nice to see. Here you see if they liked the activities overall, or if they didn't like the activities overall, or if the cards were on the right level. And then down toward the bottom, you see a summary of the ASQ results. So if you can filter it for different lengths of time, you can see who's taken the ASQ, who hasn't. And then down here, you can see, let me filter it. You can see here in this case, there have been 9 ASQ3s completed with on track in all categories, 11 with monitor in at least one category, and 9 with at least one refer. And then you can look over to the right to see what are the parts of the ASQ that are causing the most monitors or the most refers or the least, and start to understand your results for your the families you're serving based on these numbers. So this is the main screen of the dashboard. If you're a supervisor, when you click here under cohorts, you'll see multiple cohorts. If you're not a supervisor, you'll just see your own. On the children tab, it will load up a list of all the children that you serve. So you can scroll down to see the list of your kiddos. You can scroll to the right to see more information. A few things here that are useful to know. One, you can click into the child, and when you do that, you're going to see more information about that child. So you'll see all sorts of information about their play and engagement, their ASQs if they've completed them. You'll see, you can filter it again, just like, oh, this might be old. You can see if they've liked the activities, if they're too hard or too easy, etc. And then you can see all of the activities they've completed, any photos they've shared, if they've shared photos. In here also, and this is a note for supervisors, if you have a family who's moving from one home visitor to another, you would click into the child like I just did, and then you click on the word edit here in blue on the upper right corner of the of this white square rectangle. And you see the child's name, their last name, which wouldn't normally be a weird series of letters and numbers. And then under cohort, you would get out of this one and you would pick the one that, well, in this case, there's only 2 options. You'd pick the other option or the other name of the other home visitor who they're switching to, and then press update. And then they've switched from one to another. So the other home visitor would then see this child in their list. And that's something that is something you can do as a supervisor. Okay, so under this, you can also, if you're in here, we just looked at the main page, there's also this tab here that says coaching. If you click here, you can send a message to this parent of this child. So you can type the message in English and Spanish. If you want, you can attach a play card and you can save it. And then if you want, you can press send. And if you do that, the parent will get this message from you in their on their Sparkler app. Back here, something that's really useful to do is you can scroll over all the way to the right. You can click on last message from family and filter it so that you see the most recent. I don't see any. If there was somebody who'd written to me via Sparkler that I hadn't responded to, I'd see this as red. And then I could click in, it will take me to that second tab I was just in, and I could respond. So I could say whatever I wanted to say here and then save and send like I showed you before. From this page, you can also send messages to all the families that you serve. And those go as individual messages. So even if I send a message from here, it will go to each of the families. Let's say I have 10 families, I could send one message to all of them and it could customize to their child. So a few notes on this, and we also have a training that I can direct you to at the end that shows you more specifically how to use some of these functions of the dashboard. So you can do that as a refresher as well, but just so you have it. You could say, what are you doing this weekend to learn with child? I'm putting child in brackets there. When I do that, it's going to populate with his or her name. So if I receive this message, I might see, what are you going to do with this weekend to learn with Leo, who's one of my son's names, and other parents might see their children's names. You can also use the male pronouns, and it will put in the pronoun that the parent selected when they signed up. So when you play with him in brackets, you are learning. And there, if I had a girl child and I received this, I would see when you play with her, you are learning. So it's a good way of sending a little note, a nudge to a parent to help them. You should, when you send these messages to your families, I encourage you to put who you are at the beginning, because it's sort of like a party line. We're all talking with the families, and it's good to identify who we are. So I might say, hi, this is Julia. If you type the message in English and then in Spanish, I'm not going to live translate because it will be embarrassing. You will, if you have some families who speak English and some who speak Spanish, they'll receive it in the language they have turned on their phone automatically. You type, this can be the same as this. So this is the message that lives on within coaching within the app. This is the down here where it says push title and push text. This is the push notification that goes to the outside of their phone. Like you might receive an alert on your phone about the weather, about the news. You can also attach play cards, or you can attach parenting tips. And then when you're done, you can press send. And I should note, you can send it either to select age ranges, you could send it to select accounts, you can send it to select cohorts if you're a supervisor. Okay, I'm clicking out of that. One other thing to note here while we're here before we move to the next tab is you can generate a CSV report. So if you want to keep track for your own purposes or for accountability purposes of how your families are engaging with Sparkler, there's two different reports here. One is a CSV report of the information you see in this table. And one is user actions. The user actions is not just like when they complete play, but when they're browsing through the app. You can use either, and both of them I think contribute something to your understanding of how families are using Sparkler to learn with their children. The adults tab is I don't think you'll probably need it quite as much, but it has useful information that supplements the children tab. It has a list of the families you serve by their grown-ups names. So you'll see the names of the parents here. And then you'll see their children who they serve, who they have in their family over here in this cell. And you can go to the right again a little bit, but not as far as on the last table. You can see when they were active. So this family hasn't been active for quite a while. So if you wanted them to be using it weekly and you saw that they hadn't been using it since last January, you might want to give them a call and ask them what's going on and find out if you can help. But then you can also see these big numbers or little numbers here about how much they've been playing, and that gives you another indicator of whether they're using it actively or not. In the next tab here, this is only relevant if you're a supervisor, but you would be able to look down here and see all of the groups that you supervise. So you could easily see if, let's say, one of your team members was actively using this to engage with families and one wasn't. And then you could learn from the experience of the home visitors that it was working for and support them to help them learn from their team members. Library is a new function, so even if you've been trained in Sparkler before, chances are you might not know about this because we just launched it a few weeks ago over the summer. On this tab, what you can do, it's meant to allow you as home visitors or other providers in the state of Connecticut to identify activities that would support families as they're helping their children learn specific skills. So let's say you're working with the parent of a 3-year-old who is needing help with counting. You could filter in that way as I just did at the top, and then you see a list of activities we have within the app that you can then share with the parent so that they can work on that skill with their child. So you might click on how many count, or I don't know.
I think we lost your voice again, Julia.
Yeah.
Oops. I think I just lost you again. Can everybody hear me? Okay, I'm back.
We can hear you now.
Beth Ann, did you hear the part about sorting in here?
Yes.
Okay, so you find activities that are relevant based on the skill you're looking to develop, and then you click on something. So I can share math ball with a family who needs to work on counting. You click on it, it pulls up the messaging thing, it pre-populates with the card, and then you can select the account that you want to send it to, the parent's name. You can put in a little message like I showed you before, and then you can press send, and you'll be able to send and share this activity with the family who has questions about counting. And it's a good way of suggesting activities or assigning activities to families to help guide their experience and help them support their child. I am now going to click over here to the ASQ part of the dashboard. And I am going to continue driving, and hopefully my internet will put up with me, and ask Amanda to show you how you will use this page of the dashboard, which is, I think, going to be one of the main places where you focus your energy on Sparkler.
Thanks, Julia. So once a family completes the ASQ, like I was mentioning before, the results are automatically scored and they're sent over to your Sparkler dashboard, and this is where you can access them. All of your families will be in this table once they've completed an ASQ. You can see that the table has their name, the ASQ that they did complete with the date that they completed it. And then there is also two columns. There's the most recent teacher ASQ as well as the most recent parent ASQ column. So under the parent ASQ column, you will see all of the domains listed out, and they are color coded, so that way you can have a summary of how the ASQ scored. If the domains are in green, it means that that area is on track. If it shows in yellow, then it is a monitor. And if it is in red, then it means that that domain scored within refer. So you can see under Maria, she has a few refers, a monitor, and an on track for gross motor. Under most recent teacher ASQ, this is a new column and new feature that was added just a few weeks ago. And really it is a way for home visitors and providers that are connected with their families to be able to complete an ASQ on your dashboard. So you can either do an ASQ alongside your family, or you could do it in a facilitated version as well. So if you were doing a visit with your family and they had completed their ASQ but had some questions that they weren't quite sure or didn't try the activities out, you could click on Start Now and you would be able to walk your family and yourself through those questions, have the child try the activity. You know, any information you can note in here on those open-ended questions where you can type in information as well. And once you have answered all of the questions, when you get to the bottom, you would hit Finish Survey, and then it would show those results in the most recent teacher ASQ column. And so you would then be able to compare your results with the families. You can download the ASQ family friendly facing report by clicking on that Adobe icon right there. It should then download on your computer and then click to open it. And this is what the report looks like. So the first page is a summary of information. It's really a visualization. And you can see that this one has the parent scores and the teacher scores. So the parent scores are shown on top and then the teacher scores are shown along the bottom. And this is a great way to kind of have a basis for a conversation of where you're seeing differences or what the child may be demonstrating in a program versus at home with the family. And it does list out all of the domains, and you can then on the second page, thank think you might have a lag, Julia.
Oh, okay, here.
There we go.
I'm back.
The
I'm
second,
back.
no, that's okay. The second page does provide some suggested activities for each of the domains that the parents can try out with the child. And these are based on the Brooks Publishing adaptations of those suggested activities as well. And then it does provide upcoming milestones as well, so that the parent can kind of have an understanding of what to be on the lookout for. The last few pages of the report do show the questions and how the parent, and if the teacher did it as well, the teacher answers. If a parent or teacher did input any open-ended typed responses, it would show up under the question in gray as well. So this is a great way to be able to look at, each domain and go through those questions if parents have questions or concerns. You can see at the top of this page as well that you can sort this information either by, if it's a supervisor, by a cohort. If you only have access to your families, you would only see your families. But if you needed to search for a particular child, you could type in that child's name in the search. You could also sort by the type of ASQ. So you could see either just the ASQ 3s or the ASQ SEs. You also have the option to download CSV reports for the ASQ SE or the ASQ 3. So this gives you the breakdown of information that is reported in the ASQ reports. So it just gives it to you in an Excel document, and you would be able to see all of your children within this Excel format, and you can use that data then.
Mhm. And I'm not going to show the Excel because it's just a spreadsheet, and you all are very familiar with spreadsheets. You can feel free to keep those for your records, to talk through them, to learn from them. Amanda, is it useful for me to click into a child?
You could do that, Julie, yes.
Sure.
So when you click on a child's name within that table, it brings you to the ASQ page, and you can see a summary of the scores. But then if you click down, you can see all of the individual questions and how either the teacher or the family answered those questions, as far as that goes. You can click on any of the eye icon to see what parents' information they typed in. You can also download that PDF report here as well by clicking on that Adobe icon.
Okay. And you can also, from here, if you want, you can go back to messaging and send a message to that family if you need to for some reason. All right, I think those are the main points here. The only other thing that I will note here is that in settings, you can update your password, which is a good thing to be doing, so you are keeping your passwords up to date like you would on any app. And so with that, I think we went through most of these things. Yeah, we did. And we get to one final video, hearing from Kwesi again.
The home visitor practically will use the Sparkler app as a support for their work and be able to make
Oops, sorry. Okay, I'm going to try that again. I don't think that worked. Okay, maybe this one isn't loading. Okay, we'll skip it for now. I see you moving, Beth Ann. So I think that this is that you're hearing me. It was just the video that's the problem.
Yes. I could see that it was spinning. It just wasn't starting.
Okay. All right. So in conclusion, but not quite conclusion, because we'll hopefully have time for a good discussion at the end. You should have received your Sparkler access codes yesterday from Beth Ann, and these are the codes that you should share with your family so that they can link with you, so that you can see them in that dashboard that we just went through, and so that they can see your messages when you send them via Sparkler. If you didn't receive this, please reach out. After this session, we will be creating admin accounts for those of you who don't yet have one. Some of you already have one, some of you are new, some of you need new codes. So we are going to upload a spreadsheet, generate a bunch of emails that will go out to many of you to give you your new admin access. Please look out for this email. Please sign in and check out the dashboard, even if you haven't shared it yet with your families, just to make sure you can get in. The links will expire. They don't last forever for security reasons. So get started so that you know that you are in and you're ready for when your families are there. In the dashboard, supervisors, as I noted before, will be able to see all of the families in their cohort, as well as the cohorts of the home visitors that they supervise. And just in general, we are, as I said before, working really closely with OEC to get everything, all of the information behind the scenes up to date. But if you see anything wrong, first of all, we are sorry. Second of all, please reach out because we can fix it for you and we're happy to do that. So don't be shy, reach out. We are going forward in an effort to keep your information more up to date. We're going to be sending a monthly request to supervisors in home visiting, and it will have a form that we'll share. And this will allow you to more easily share with us the information about any staffing changes that require us to create new codes for families, or to add or subtract any team members who have started with you or left your team. So watch out for that, because it's important to keep this information up to date, both for allowing you to use this in your work and for allowing you to us to keep this to keep everything safe and secure. We don't want people who are no longer on your team to be able to access families' information via Sparkler. And just one more note on next steps here is that we are in this, as I mentioned before, trying to learn from all of you, and we really genuinely want to learn and also help different providers, both home visitors and others across the state, learn from each other. So we have a bunch of upcoming sessions, office hours, and the idea there is just an open Q&A to ask any questions, and learning communities where we can share ideas and learn from each other coming up in the next couple months, and then there'll be more throughout the year. So please stay tuned for dates. We'd love to see you there. If you have any questions in the meantime, we will put our information into the chat. Feel free to email us. We love hearing from you, and please don't be shy. Okay, so with that, These are just a few discussion prompts. Again, we're really happy to, we want to learn, so we're happy to answer any questions. These are a few ideas of where to start, about whether you have any questions about Sparkler features or functions for the families. If you have any questions about how you can use the dashboard, if you have any questions about how you see Sparkler fitting into your work, we'd love to hear it. And we might volunteer other home visitors who are here and have experience to share their answers on that one. And if you have any ideas for sharing Sparkler effectively with families, that would also be amazing if you could share it with people, or any other questions. So I am now going to stop sharing for a moment so that I can see everybody. I am now sitting like right next to my Wi-Fi, so I'm going to
So, Julia, I have compiled all the messages from the chat box. If we want to just maybe quickly answer some of them. Julia? Okay.
Okay.
Oh, there she is.
I'm back. Okay.
Okay.
Right on cue. The whole browser went away, but I'm back. Okay. So.
So we have some questions in the chat box that I thought we would go through and answer.
Great. Where's chat? I can't even see the chat, Beth Ann.
No, I'll read them to you.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. So Sonia had said that hers has an SSL error and it has occurred and a secure connection to a server cannot be made.
Is that on the mobile app or is that on the dashboard?
So Sonia, you can
straight up
At the mobile app.
God knows the truth.
Okay, I don't know what that is. I've never heard that, but let me look into it. Can I ask you what
That's a picture of
Wi-Fi are you on?
some guy sitting up there with like a
Android.
shotgun.
Android?
Just waiting for you to mess up and strike
And
you down.
what Android device are you on?
Samsung
There
9.
was no one to believe me that things were
Okay,
happening.
and are you on Wi-Fi?
So
I have both Wi-Fi and
I became a
have unlimited
liar.
data.
Okay. So
I
let
got
me click on
drugs.
that and get back to you.
I had a great
Okay,
job. I lost
okay.
it.
All right.
I lost
the next question
I was
is,
homeless.
can everyone mute themselves? Thank you so much. Do the children have to be in the system? What is the have no social security number?
Social Security, if that's what you meant, whoever asked this question.
Yes.
Okay, they don't need to have a social security number. They don't need to be, they don't need to have a social security number.
Okay, so the reason why she's asking is some children are immigrants, so that's why.
That's fine. And so Sparkler actually asks for less information than other systems might ask for about the families before they can get started. The only thing that we really truly need to be accurate in order to offer the ASQ is the child's birthday, and if they are under 2, their prematurity. Like I think that for your purposes, it's useful if they put in the correct name so you can tell who's who in your dashboard, but we don't need that in order to offer the ASQ to them and for them to complete it. All we need is the correct birthday. And so we don't ask for anything like a social security number or anything like that. And so if they are immigrants or they don't have a social security number for some reason, we wouldn't know and we wouldn't ask.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
App stated check your credentials and it didn't let me go ahead.
Was that's on the mobile app?
Go ahead, Betty, you want to go first? You have your hand up.
Yes, good afternoon, ladies.
I'm just asking, do you have it in any other languages besides like English and Spanish? Because I provided services to Haitian and Creole population, and it is always a struggle. I'll triple my work to try to translate the information, and it's just like I'm asking, do you, if you don't have it right now, is it something that you are considering to have in other languages like Haitian, Creole, Bengali, a lot of like population that can use these services, and unfortunately it's not available to them in their languages.
So right now we have English and Spanish. We're in the process of adding it in Chinese. Haitian, Creole, and Bengali aren't right now in our pipeline. I mean, I would love to add those languages eventually. So if we can make this a huge success, I mean, I'm being overly honest here, but hopefully there's enough demand that we can support with. We have enough funding to translate everything into all of the different languages that I know people need, because I know it's a big need. In the meantime, one thing that you can do to support your families, we showed you on screen the facilitated ASQ capabilities, and one thing you can do is you could help them to create an account, and then you could complete the ASQ with them. So while you're filling out the answers for them, so you'd be looking at the English and filling it out for them, but it would be reflective of their answers, and it would score automatically and be in the same system. So it's obviously not as good as having a translation into the languages that the families speak, but in the short run, hopefully that helps you a little bit. The other thing I wanted to note is that 211 has a lot of those ASQs in different languages on paper. So if you reach out to Amanda, we
don't.
Oh, you don't?
No, don't tell them that. We only have English and Spanish. We can call people and talk to them because we have language line, but we don't have ASQ and beyond English and Spanish, unfortunately.
Okay, well, I take that back, and I apologize, Karina. Okay, so I take that.
Well, thank you, Julia. Thank you. I'll try my best. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I believe I saw some other hands up. Let me just look here. Dane, did you have your hand up?
Danae.
Oh,
Yes,
I'm so
Danae.
sorry.
Don't worry, I get it all the time. So I had I was trying to put it in the chat. I have a mom who had a preemie, and with utilizing the Sparkler app to try to get certain activities for him, she found, well, in her words, the activities were not really appropriate for him, because again, he was delayed. But she asked if she could go back and try to adjust the age, and it was not giving her that type of prompt to come to go back to adjust the age. Is there any, when a parent is actually registering their child on the Sparkler app, and they do, they are, born, maybe let's say 2 months, 3 months, early, is that an option on Sparkler? I haven't seen it.
Yeah, what you can do, that's a great question. Right now, we're assigning activities based on their age. So we're giving them information based on, sorry, I'm hearing a funny background noise. We're giving information based on typical development. But if you want to see if you want to see play cards for younger children, like for example, if I wanted to see what activities I'd be offered if my child were a year younger, I can go into account and change the age of my child. So I go into, so more specifically, I click on the little gear in the upper right corner of my app, and then I click in my account, and then I click on the name of my child, and then I see his picture and his name and his last name and his pronoun, and then I see his birthday, and I can change his birthday. So my child was born in 2017. I can change it to 2018, let's say, and just see those activities. And then I can also switch back you know, if I want to see the correct ASQ, I could also add an additional child to my account that I wouldn't be taking the ASQ for, but just to see what activities are that would be maybe more appropriate for a child who had a delay or was if they just wanted to see the easier activities. The other thing I'd note there is on each activity that we have in the app, we have a way to make it to make it more complicated or to simplify it. So to get those, so if you're in an activity, in the upper right corner, it says tips. If you click on tips, you'll see something, those stretch and simplify suggestions. And if it's not hugely off, if it's like in the right ballpark, but maybe could be a little bit simpler to modify to meet a particular child's needs, that might help the parent. And I would recommend that as the first step, see if it works. And if it does, try that, because then you're not going into a whole different age bracket with your child. But you should figure out, obviously each child is different, and you should figure out what works best given their circumstances. And if they need to switch the age, they can switch the age just to see the different activities.
So thank you for that.
My pleasure.
Do you have any other things?
I can see some of the things in the chat now.
Oh, okay.
Not all of them. So Beth Ann, you still have to keep guiding, but I'm seeing this comment from Emily about the 3-year-old and she likes it because it gives little activities and things, but it's the same thing as we do. So if people already have a home visitor, it's repetitive. So I would say, Emily, it's a tool, as Ashley said at the beginning, and you can use it to your advantage with families. Like instead of telling, it can be sort of like a reminder, like class notes to them almost. Like if you're like, let's go outside and look for signs of fall, and that's an activity that there is in Sparkler, you could just send it to them as a little reminder of what you talked about during your session together. There's other ways you could use it too. If it doesn't support your work, at least the activities part of it, it can just be like a little extra, a thing for families to do independently with their children to support their play and learning. And I would love to, I think all of us would love to keep learning from you. What works? How do you use it? How does it support your work? And how doesn't it? How could it be better? So keep the feedback coming on that.
Julia, I think there's a great question here. It says, while I love using Sparkler, most of our families I work with love it too. I still struggle with getting some to utilize it for activities and to complete upcoming or overdue ASQs.
Okay. So that's a really good question. I want to try to answer it. And then if anybody who's here, other home visitors, if you have ideas to share, feel free to jump in. So I think that everybody's different. Some people are more likely to try something than others. Some people will sign up for something and then get less engaged. Some people will sign up and get more engaged in the future. I think some of the best practices we've noticed are, one, introducing it at the beginning. So if it's the beginning of your relationship with a new family, that's a good time to set expectations, to say, here's a new tool, here's a tool that we'll be using, working together. I'll let you know when there's an ASQ that I really want you to complete. It would be great if you completed it before our session so that we can talk through the results together, et cetera. That kind of thing seems to work really well. If you want them to be playing once or twice or 5 times between sessions, it's up to you what you think is most useful for that family, but you should tell them. And we've noticed that when you make it clear to families what you expect, they're more likely to do it. Similarly, you have the capacity using Sparkler to send little nudges. So if you do that, like if on a Sunday evening you ask them what learning activities they did, or what they read, or whatever it is you're wondering, that's a good way to bring them back, get them engaged, and remind them that this is something that you want them to be doing. On the ASQ specifically, Sparkler turns on all of the ASQs, both the regular one, the 3 and the SE. the family doesn't necessarily have to do all of them. I know home visiting strongly recommends some of them. And that said, we have them all on just in case. Like you can, if you want to encourage a family to do another one, that's up to you. If they start when they're not on one of the ones that's highly recommended, you might want to have them do it, etc. So they're there for people and they can do them if they want. But if there's one you strongly recommend that they do, you can send them reminders through the app. You could send them reminders and other ways that you communicate with them. And another thing there that we have new that we walked through in the demo was that the provider ASQ, so you can sit with them and help them fill it out if they're really struggling, or do it in a facilitated way if it makes more sense for them based on their needs. So there's a bunch of different ways to do it. That said, obviously people are different, and so it won't work for everybody. So, I mean, I welcome. Does anybody else have any questions or any ideas to share in response to that one? Because I think that really your experience collectively is probably the best answer to that. I mean, we're all learning together. What are the best ways to share a tool to encourage the use of the tool?
One other one I thought was a really good question is, am I able to see what the family sees?
Yeah, so you can create your own account within the app. It's going to be a different login than for the dashboard, which is on the web. You have to create your account like we showed you in this demo. Feel free to do that. I encourage you to do it. And then you see exactly what the family sees. And when families do things like complete activities, you'll see it on your dashboard. But if you want to see what the families you serve are seeing, create your own account in the mobile app.
Okay, is Sparkler a secured website?
Yes. Yeah, we're FERPA certified, so which means that we hold ourselves to has higher standards than school districts. We also they can read through our privacy and security policy and security policy and terms and all that. And we I mean, we're all parents. We know how important safety and security is, and it's secure. And the only people who are seeing the information are the people who are listed as sponsoring partners. So OEC, 211 Child Development, you all, and we're not sharing the information with anybody, and it's not used in any way. It's not entered into other systems in a way that anybody would. I mean, it's not entered into any other system, so it's very safe and secure for families.
Great. Will you have to create an admin account for each person, or can you just make one admin account for a site and that site will be able to add their own staff on theirs?
Right now, you send us the information, we create the admin accounts for each home visitor to allow them both to have a code to share with families and to access the dashboard, the people on the dashboard that they should see. Eventually, we want to build in a more DIY function so that the supervisors will be able to make changes like you're asking for. And I personally am very excited for the day when that's available, but it's not available yet.
And this one was good. When I first introduced my families to Sparkler last year, I had several families enthusiastically sign up. Throughout the year, I ran across a few families who stopped using it or uninstalled it from their phone when they needed to free up space on their phones. It's been disappointing. However, I'm excited to try it again with my families.
Great. Let us know how it goes. I mean, this is like, you know, we all have the vast majority of us have smartphones. The vast majority of us have wanted to free up space on our phones. I know I have. And I think that this goes back to you setting expectations and priorities. Like when you tell people that it's something that's important to you and you expect them to be completing the ASQs, or you want them to be playing, or whatever it is you want them to be doing, I think that most people will hopefully reprioritize it. but I mean,
So Amanda, it seems like Julia is froze again. And so I don't know if Luz or Ashley is on. There's a question in here from Renee. Which model?
oh, I just got lost for a second. I just wanted to
Oh.
say, I wanted to say quickly, Sparkler is a pretty small app as apps go. It's not a huge like space hog on the phone. So so you can assure families it's not taking up that much room. It's not like it's not a big app compared to some of the other apps you might have. And the other thing that's important to note that I didn't say originally is you as a parent can use Sparkler offline, which I think is a really useful feature. Meaning obviously you have to be on the internet to download the app. You have to be on the internet to first create your account, but you can play and you can even complete the screenings when you're not online and then just go online to upload things like your screening results. And I think that is something that gives people without consistent internet connection the ability to engage and keep using this and playing when they're not online. And that's something that you can use to your advantage.
Great. We have one home visitor that is trying to get on the playsparkler.org, and it says Safari can't open the page because the address is invalid.
I will check that. It shouldn't be invalid. I mean, I'm looking at it right now on my computer and it seems fine, but if other people have that problem, I mean, this is, I don't know if you can see it, but this is playsparkler.org. It has general information. And then there's a page about Connecticut, which looks something like this. And if you click over to providers, you'll see all of this information that you can use, videos that you can share, trainings and everything. If other people are having that problem, please let me know. And if you are having that problem, if you're the person who wrote this, please try in a different browser and see if it works better for you. I'm not sure what's going on.
Oh, I'm muted. Does the bulk messaging sharing email information of other participating families, and what if families feel it's repetitive, and what they get and do with home visitors?
You can only message the people who you have administrative access to. So you can only message your families through bulk messaging. So you can't message other families that aren't in your group.
I think, Julia, they were getting at, can the other families within your group see the other families?
Oh, no. It's you can only see that you can only see your own child and the messages that come to you. It's not like a group chat or a group text chain where all your friends are on the same group text. I don't know if everybody's looking at the chat, but I think Ashley's point here, at the last point that Ashley just typed in about ECAS integration, is something many of us are really, really excited about, that we think will make your lives a lot easier. So stay tuned. I think, am I paused or is Beth Ann?
I answered, those were all the questions.
Okay, awesome. I see Amanda answered a question about the earliest ASQ. It's at 2 months if somebody's not looking at the ASQ or the chat. Does anyone else have any other questions or thoughts or worries or concerns or things they're excited about, or I don't know, anything else?
I had one last quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So I noticed that I had a family register on a new family registered on Sparkler. And so I have on my regular, that I could see the list there. And I was on the phone when we did it together, and the family has not, I don't see them in that list.
Okay.
But I forgot there's another tab that I clicked on.
Mhm.
I can't remember what it was. I'm not looking at it right now, but I did see that the mom registered, but it didn't come up on that regular list that you have on the dashboard. I don't know if I'm making sense, but it looks as if she did. It looks as if I don't, as if the client is not registered, which is kind of weird.
That is weird. I would say, so one thing is they might have, one thing that could have happened is the mom could have created an account and not added the child, in which case you would see the mom on the parent list, on the adult list, but you wouldn't see the child on the child list. Another thing that could have, so you should go to the if you see the parent's name on the adult list, which it sounds like it might be what you're seeing, you should click on her and see if children are listed. If no children are listed, you should ask her to go into account settings and add her child. If it's something else, like if it's some weird situation like that and it's hard to tell what's going on and you can't figure it out, you can always reach out, and I'll put my email, and everybody will put their emails into the chat, so you can reach out to us and we can help you with issues like that.
Okay.
Because it's usually something that's pretty easy to figure out once we have the name of the parent or other information.
Okay. I was looking on it now to see. Oh, I do see the adult. Now, what? I'm sorry. What else did you say? If I didn't see, so I'm in the adult tab right now.
So you see the adult's name. Do you see any children listed on the adults page? Like in adults, you should see in that table. You will see the there's a column called children. Do you see the name of her child in that tab?
I actually do. I do see the child. Okay, so I see the child, but when I go to, I'll tell you what's the other tab.
So if you click on that child's name, do you pull up her profile or his profile?
Let me go right now. Hold on. Okay. Click. Okay, so I mean I see I see actually I see the mom's name.
They might have given the child.
I do see that where.
Mm-hmm. They might have.
Okay, so I think maybe that
the child their name. I'm not sure. The other thing is that could happen. You might see messed up information if, for example, they put the birthday in wrong and the child's like, you might not see them in the ASQ list if, for example, the child was under 2 months or way too old for an ASQ. So if you send, it's hard to diagnose it.
Okay.
More information, but if you reach out, I'm happy to help you figure out exactly what's going on and figure out how we can fix it for.
Okay. And I'm sorry. Who am I? Because I see one person frozen, I see another person moving. Who am I speaking? Who was just speaking?
You were talking to Julia.
Julia. Okay.
Yeah,
Julia,
she just put her email in the chat box.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I see that there's a question about, does the family receive a reminder when the ASQ is due? Yeah, when they get a new ASQ assigned, they get a little a notification. They get a reminder, and then you can also feel free to send them a note if you want them to complete it. Let's say you want them to complete it before your next meeting together. You could send them a note and ask that they complete it. Deborah, I'm sorry, maybe I'm not seeing all the questions, but please discuss the consents. So I'll try to answer this and tell me if I'm giving the appropriate response to your question. So when people are signing up for the app, they're asked to agree to our privacy policy and our terms of service. And those, like many apps that people sign up for, are written by lawyers. And we tried to make it as clear as possible in the context of the fact that they're written by a lawyer. So I'm happy to answer any questions about that, or we could give you more information if you need it to try to help your families understand it. Essentially, what we have is a parent-based consent system where the parent is saying, is using the app and agreeing to share information with what we call sponsoring partners. In this case, it's OEC is the sponsoring partner, and OEC has agreed to also share information with 211 Child Development, which is part of the United Way, so that we have a sort of safety net for all of the families in the state who want to use the app. And then if a family, for example, wants to link up with their preschool and it's a private preschool, that would also be a partner. So that would also be an organization that gets to see the child's information. This information isn't going anywhere else. It's not being used for advertising. It's not being used for anything other than.
And Julia froze again. Right? Or is it me?
Nope, I
Okay.
can't hear you either.
Sorry,
Everybody like disappeared. I'm like, am I frozen or is it Julia?
It's me. I'm gonna have to get the cable guy in here to figure out what's going on. It's horrible. I'm sorry. Anyway, I was giving like a very impassioned speech about the importance of security. I'm not sure where I lost you, but basically, did you hear any of that?
Yes.
Okay, good. Deborah, does that answer your question, or did you have other questions about consent that you wanted me to try to answer?
No, I was concerned about the families understanding it. So
Yeah.
would you by any chance have a point paper? You know, something that a little cheat sheet so that we could explain to them what they're consenting to, because it will be in legalese, and sometimes they just click agree and then don't really know what they're signing away. And I have another question.
Sure.
Will 211 also automatically will contact them if their score is low, if they need monitoring?
No.
Great question. No, you're in home visiting. You are responsible for sharing the results one way or another with the family. So the families hear the results if they're good, if they're monitored, if they're referred from you.
Okay, so we would make the referral to Birth to 3 or wherever we felt the child needed to go.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So I see that we are at time. I'll speak for myself. I'm happy to answer any more questions that you have right now, but I know this is a Friday afternoon and everybody probably wants to finish up their day and their last emails and everything and get on with the weekend. So I want to just finish by thanking you for taking the time to talk with us this afternoon. We're just so excited to be working with home visiting and to support you in your work. So if you have any questions that do come up, I know I put my email into the chat. Amanda put hers in. I think Beth Ann put hers in. Beth Ann also shared an evaluation form, and we'd love to have your feedback, and we will be in touch soon. So we will be sending you the admin access. Again, if you haven't sent us your details, like your email, we won't. So please share those. And we will be in touch soon, and we look forward to learning with you throughout the year. So thanks, and have a nice weekend.
Thank you, everyone.
There are two.